So here's something really interesting. So CNN does these interesting things where they take like these groups of voters essentially and they ask them these questions about the election, the upcoming elections. The last one I did was they had essentially a panel of independent voters. And what they did is they asked them about whether or not they'd be supporting Trump again, and there were a bunch of them who were saying that they were going to be voting Democrat. They're not going to be voting Trump again. Some of them saying I'm going to be voting all the way down the line Democrat on the ticket. But basically, this one that we're going to be looking at, this is really interesting, okay, because they have gathered Democratic voters and they are going to question them as to whether or not Hillary Clinton should not only be involved in the Gillum campaign, but just in general, not be part of sort of the Democratic political sphere. Check it out, and we're going to come talk about it.
As we pointed out earlier in the program, there are exactly 2 weeks to go until the midterm elections. President Trump announced this morning he's heading to Florida this weekend, campaigning in a state with two high-profile races for both governor and Senate. Not to be outdone, President Obama has been on the trail as well. Lately, he's been campaigning in Las Vegas on behalf of Nevada Democrats. For her part, Hillary Clinton is in Florida tonight at a private fundraiser for Democrat Andrew Gillum in his gubernatorial race against Republican Ron DeSantis. Now, President Trump continued to make Ms. Clinton public enemy number one for the 2 years after beating her in the election, and some Democrats worry that her reemergence will only embolden the president and his allies. Randy Kay sat down with a group of Florida Democrats to get their take on the return of Hillary Clinton.
A show of hands, how many of you think overall Hillary Clinton is more of a liability than an asset to the Gillum campaign? Almost all of you.
Hillary Clinton is seen as this kind of figure that the right rails against. They go to rallies and they say, lock her up.
Hillary Clinton's a rallying point for the right. They use that messaging against Hillary Clinton to drive out their vote. So I think you could end up seeing a huge boost in their numbers because you have Hillary Clinton now on the other side being associated with Gillum so close.
What concerns you about the baggage and the scandals that she was associated with and how that might impact the Gillum campaign?
Well, her post-presidential sort of, demeanor or platform has been very sort of self-indulgent and very much about relitigating what happened in 2016. And our generation, my generation, doesn't really respond to, this relitigation of 2016. And I don't want to call it whining, but like at this point, that's kind of what it feels like.
I am concerned, and as a young person, he nailed it. We're going forward, progressive movements, progressive policies, looking ahead, and I think she represents an old Democratic Party.
Does anyone think that Hillary Clinton can be helpful to the Gillum campaign?
I do. I think she can be financially helpful because she has a history of fabulous fundraising, and I think that's where she should stay.
As far as right now going out and making speeches for Mr. Gillum, I don't think so.
What is it specifically you think that, how might Hillary Clinton harm the Gillum campaign, do you think?
She's just got bad cred.
Bad cred.
Bad cred. People don't trust her. No one trusts her. I mean, the reality is I voted for her. I supported her, but she does things that she trips over herself. Yeah. And she makes big mistakes.
Hillary Clinton did an interview recently and said that she was asked about the Lewinsky affair, and she said that it wasn't an abuse of power because Monica Lewinsky was an adult.
Horrifying.
Is that something that Democrats want to hear right now leading up to the midterms?
No.
We're in 2018. Time's up. Me Too. Harvey Weinstein unleashed a generation-long abuse of power, and it's completely tone deaf to say that a female 21-year-old intern at the White House in the Oval Office with the president is not a victim, and is bringing her on going to be a trigger for some people saying, do you know what she just said a week ago?
Her saying that, oh, she was an adult and, we didn't do nothing wrong can hurt him in a way, saying, she's supporting what they had done at that time.
So the last thing you want is her down here in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not, let's get some fresh blood down here.
Yeah.
Let's spice it up.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's too important.
Yeah.
The stakes are too high.
Yeah, the stakes are too high.
It's too high.
Why risk it?
Yeah.
He's ahead right now.
Well, some pretty strong voter opinions in the piece. Here now to discuss is USA Today columnist Kirsten Powers and Mr. Clinton's former.
Yeah, so pretty much all of those people were extremely, extremely on point with what they were saying. So really quick, before I get into the Hillary Clinton stuff, I want to speak a little bit about Andrew Gillum. Now, he's running for governor in Florida, and I actually saw part of the debate that he had with Ron DeSantis, and what struck me is that he seems like a very intelligent person as well as a really good debater, and I thought that he did really well. I was honestly taken aback by how I want to say like charismatic and just intelligent he came off as. He also was just sort of good at debating as well. Like, he frames things in a really smart way to appeal to people. So, like, for example, when he says, if I'm elected governor, we'll have basically, a governor who believes in science. Like, that's a great way to frame something, because if you sort of talk about climate change and get bogged down in the details, voters are dumb and they're not really going to be appealed to through that. But if you go, I actually believe in science, this moron doesn't believe in science, that's a pretty damn good idea. Now, there are questions as to whether or not he's a true progressive. First of all, I want to say that in Florida, literally any Democrat is better than a Republican because Florida is probably the dumbest state in the nation. It usually comes in competition between Florida and Alabama, somewhere around there. But any Democrat is better than a Republican in Florida. And on top of that, Gillum just seems to be hopefully he turns out to be a real progressive. I know that he's been campaigning with Booker and Clinton, but when you have such a huge governor race like that, honestly, I can understand why he would do that and why he would feel pressured to do that or why he would think that'd be beneficial. However, obviously, I don't think that they should, and I think that what they were saying, the voters that you guys just saw, I thought they were pretty darn on point because essentially what they were explaining is, no, we don't think that Hillary Clinton should be campaigning for these people because nobody likes Hillary Clinton. She just lost an election to the least approved candidate ever, and so I don't understand how any logical conclusion can be formed that basically states something to the notion of, we need Hillary Clinton to come back and to save us and to help us. It's probably the dumbest thing ever. Sometimes I'll do videos breaking down, like whether Ben Shapiro on Fox News or Tommy Lahren on Fox News, and there will be usually some Hillary Clinton clip that they get to talk about. And usually the statements that are made are so dumb that I actually end up agreeing. Somehow Hillary Clinton makes me agree with Ben Shapiro and Tommy Lahren on a bunch of things. And they pointed out that, the whole Monica Lewinsky thing, she had a totally BS answer because her answer said she was an adult, but that has nothing to do with power structures. You can't have the President of the United States doing those kinds of things with a young intern like that. That's a clear power imbalance, and just because she's an adult does not mean that it was an abuse of power. That is dumb because that means that therefore, there are no abusive powers with people over the age of consent, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And on top of that, she pivoted away so quickly. But it's so bad because the Me Too movement and all that, Time's Up, as they pointed out as well, is, it's at its peak. And so when you start pinning yourself against those movements, which are largely part of your party, you're being an idiot. And you are being detrimental to the left, to the Democratic Party, to the actual left-wing movement. And so it's a really dumb move on her part to do that. But just in general, like who in Florida especially, oh my God, what a horrible place to have her. She lost there. She lost Ohio and Florida. So why would you have, we need to get away from Hillary Clinton. We need to get away from the image of Hillary Clinton because she sucks so much, so bad. She is horrible. And so this, I want to say massive stupidity on the part of these politicians and strategists, by the way, who believe that Hillary Clinton coming out to endorse or even support in any way publicly a campaign is going to aid anything is definitely extremely, extremely dumb. all that Hillary Clinton can really cause is detriment to a candidacy, and so therefore it is very, very stupid to actually believe that to believe that she's in some way capable of aiding the campaign. All she's going to do is she's just going to turn off voters. She's going to turn off people who may potentially vote for Andrew Gillum over Ron DeSantis. And the thing is about conservatives is they hate Clinton. Like, the name Clinton is probably the thing that they hate the most. Like, essentially, you say the Clinton Foundation and they instantaneously want to burn you to death. And so it's just a horrible idea on all fronts, and it's embarrassing that it's even being entertained.